Good afternoon. My name is Roy Kirchner, and today we are going to be talking about secrets for success in 2025. And I'm looking forward to it. Happy Friday, everybody. Again, Roy Kirchner. I'm a serial entrepreneur here in the Tampa Bay market area. Little bit of background information is I've had a 3D printing additive manufacturing company for the past 10 years. So I'm hitting my 10-year anniversary on my main business that I have here. Super excited to be in business 10 years. During that 10 years, I became the sixth fastest growing company in Tampa Bay in 2021. Was awarded by the Tampa Bay Business Journal that, and then stayed on the Fast 50 in 2022. So we just had explosive growth during that time, and it's great because 3D printing, additive manufacturing is new technology in the world, and the more people that embrace it and learn about it, the better off we are, especially with being able to manufacture here in the United States. But I am pleasure to be here with Doug and John, and I'm going to turn it over to Doug to introduce himself now.
Hey, I'm Doug Hensel, also known as DJ Fresh. I am a celebrity DJ entertainer specializing in all kinds of big sporting events like Major League Baseball All-Star Break, the Super Bowl. I do a lot of big corporate events across the country and internationally too as well. I also am the Chief Revenue Officer of a video game development company called PlayPal Studios, where we develop games and immersive experiences on the Roblox platform. I'm a host on HSN, so I represent national global brands live on air. And then I am a partner in our marketing and ad agency called the Flying Goat Agency.
And my name's John D. Hanson. I'm a combination of, public speaker, workshop facilitator, author. There are lots of things that I love to do. The thing I enjoy the most, though, and that's why I love these conversations, is I love to be around people who are entrepreneurial. And now, what does that look like? Does that mean you have to start a business to be entrepreneurial? Nope. Entrepreneurial means you just see life in a different way. Rather than seeing all the problems, which everybody can see, you look for opportunities. You look for who can I work with? You're curious, always learning. So in these conversations that we're going to be talking through, it's not coming from a point of, we've been there, done that. Now we're going to tell you how to do it. We're sharing with you our journey. We're sharing with you some of the things that we have learned that didn't work, some of the things that did. But most of all, we're just sharing and creating an opportunity for people to benefit from what we've learned. And then in our conversation with each other, we learn from each other. So we're not here to talk at you. We're here talking with each other. And our goal is to bring something of value to you. So if you want to learn more about us, we're on LinkedIn. Check us out there. Connect, follow. We'd love to hear back from you of what you've gotten out of this. So if you've been putting aside, investing your time to join our conversations, we'd love to hear from you. Of questions you've got, ideas we could talk about, we'd love to do that for you. So, Roy, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to start with today when we're talking about?
Yeah, I definitely, one of the things I want to pop in here and say after what you were saying is we're actually all in business right now too, right? And we're weathering all these new developments that are happening in the world, right? So we've got definitely 3D printing, additive manufacturing that's growing, but one of the biggest trigger words right now is artificial intelligence, AI, right? And then another huge trigger word that we're all seeing tremendously is the new administration. The president coming in and changing things rapidly. So a lot of what we do on these things here for LinkedIn Live noon every Friday is keep you up to date. Like you said, the most important things is secrets for success in 2025. And all three of us right now are navigating things in real time. I can promise you that we're navigating things in real time. I've never had where my business is changing more on a daily, weekly basis due to difference in tariffs, administration changes, all these different types of things. And I think we're all seeing that right now. But one of the first topic we're going to talk about today is building a personal and business brand that resonates, right? That resonates with your customers or your clients, that allow you to basically build a brand that lasts. You know, the most important thing that you have to remember in building a business is a couple things: talking to enough people enough times to affect change in their buying habits and convince them to put you on their shopping list, right? So you gotta, when they're looking for a service or a product, you gotta at least get on their shopping list, right? That's the first thing. So if they don't even put you on their shopping list, you're in trouble, right? Because you could literally build a business, but if nobody knows you exist, it's not going to help you in any way, shape, or form. So you got to at least exist. Then the second part of that, after you exist, is you 100% now more than ever. You got to take care of the customer before, during, and after the sale. And your most important thing that you're trying to do is you have created a culture within the person that is buying your product or service that they literally, the number one way to grow is, believe it or not, still to this day, is word of mouth. Getting their sister, their aunt, their uncle, their brother, their cousin, their friend to know that they did business with you and you did business so well that they actually want to tell people who you are. So that is resonating a brand that is unstoppable, right? That's where you want to get to, right? So that's the first part of it. Now I'm going to turn it over to Doug and he's going to keep going.
Yeah, so I am a perfect example of a personal brand. You know, when I first started DJing back in 1999, I was 19, 20 years old. There was no social media back then, man. I was printing up flyers and putting them on cars. I was printing up business cards myself. Do you guys remember back in the day when you could print up like 12 business cards with the perforated edges and you kind of tore them apart? Yeah, so it was like the DIY business cards, right? So that, you know, I was about as homegrown as you possibly could be, you know, printing up posters myself on my inkjet, you know, computer printer and going around and I would go to like the Casinos, tuxedo places and you know, work a deal with them. And it was all organic. And then, you know, when I started to kind of do private events, I called up everybody and their mother and I said, hey, I'm doing private events. So if you know anybody having a birthday, if you know anybody having graduation parties, if you know anybody having a prom or homecoming, if you know anybody doing this, any kind of corporate event, any kind of celebration, I don't care what it is. You know, if the nursing home locally nearby wants to have a, you know, roaring 50s, 60s party, I don't care. I'm going to do it because I wanted to plant those seeds and I wanted to put my foot in the door. And how else was I going to get, you know, now you can just drop a post and go out to thousands or millions, right, of people. Back then you had to do guerrilla marketing. Back then you had to beat the streets. And I still do that to this day because I have never once advertised a day in my life. Now, when I say that, I have never once put anything out there. Hire DJ Fresh events for this, for your wedding, for your corporate event, for your this, your that. Because I feel that the organic, natural way of growing your business and your personal brand, shaking people's hands, looking them in the eye. I'm just old school like that. And I feel like that has what has allowed me to be, and keep in mind, I'm not in a major market. I'm not in New York City. I'm not in California and LA. I'm not in Miami. I'm in St. Petersburg, Florida, which used to be known as like God's waiting room, where everybody came to retire and die back in the day. So now St. Pete's on the map. We were like the redheaded stepchild to Tampa. But, you know, now if you fast forward, you know, I have multiple different companies, you know, with Spencer being my partner here. I'm traveling the world, being asked to play big, huge, you know, like events for like MasterCard Global and Target and Major League Baseball and here and there and everywhere. And I'm just still a kid from a small town. But the way I was able to get those opportunities and build those relationships is natural, organic, you know, personal brand. You know, I'm always smiling. I'm always the extroverted personality. I'm never complaining that I'm tired or I'm this or I'm that or, oh, blah, 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 blah. No, like people want to see you on. They want to see you electrifying, you know, and I'm an entertainer. So I have to be on all the time. And that resonates with people because people want to be around that positive energy. They want to be around that energy, like, holy smokes, were you guys just at that event that Fresh was playing? Like that thing was crazy. I've never danced so much in my life. That will keep me like getting gigs, you know? So every wedding, corporate event, private event, DJing in a stadium here and there, people will see me and maybe they won't hire me a month from now, 6 months from now, but a year from now or 2 years from now, they're going to remember who I am. And when something comes up, they either call me or they find that person who booked me, and then they will call me. And that business is built up over the years. And now I have 12 DJs all across the country that work for me too. And they're placed here and there and everywhere. And we're all just out there grinding. So that personal brand is so important, because you yourself, even if you don't have a stage name or a moniker or this or that, you yourself become a personal brand, because going back to what Roy said, it's that customer experience. It's what we call the white glove treatment. How are you handling those customers? How are you handling any potential, customer issues? Maybe with shipping or manufacturing or delay or this or that, all, with these new tariffs and these new crazy regulations and this and that, like, how are you adapting and how are you handling that? All depends on how you're going to have success going forward in the future.
Yeah, I'd build on that too. That what you both have said. So a good number of people that are regularly tuning into this as attendees are college students, and I love that they're hungry to learn about this. You're thinking like, yeah, I'm not in a role, I'm still in college. But this is something that I learned about personal branding when I was like 40 years old. If you can grasp this when you're completing while you're still in college and building that professional resume and starting off your career, if you can understand that everybody has a brand, every single person has a brand. Same true for organizations. Every organization has a brand. You either have one by default or you have one by design. If you understand that everybody has a brand, and you do too, every single person watching this has a brand, the question is, what is it? And that is, while you're thinking, well, I don't have a logo, I don't have a website. No, that's not what your brand is. Your brand is what people experience with you. And that starts from the day you're born, and then it happens all the way through school, all the way through college. You get to be known. What are you known for? What are you known as? What do you want to be known as? What do you want people to say when they have time with Doug, with DJ Fresh? What's their experience? When they work with Spencer, the Flying Goat, what's their experience? When they do business with Roy and UD3P, what's their experience there? That's the brand. See, the customer experience, it's all about what they take away. It's not about what your logo is or what your website is or about what you say or what you want it to be. None of that is important when it comes to the customer experience. You're trying to measure, what are they taking away? What did they have as an experience with you? And if you could understand that, you're already working on your brand, either by default or by design. Start now thinking about, okay, what am I interested in learning about? What am I interested in pursuing? Okay, then I want to learn as much as I can about that thing, and then I want to start connecting with people that are already in that space and learn from them. That part of a brand, when you're around organizations and people who are curious, oh, it's so highly attractive. Why? Because they're always learning. They ask great questions. They're like sponges. They can't get enough. If that's the brand you're known for, especially to the point where you're building your personal and business brand in your career and you're figuring those things out, if you're known to be someone who is learning and taking and using advice, you'll never run out of it. You'll always be connected with somebody else because it's so rare. Most people are trying to figure it out on their own. Or I remember when I was 21 and I thought I knew everything. Turns out I didn't know anything. I had so much to learn. Well, when I started asking great questions, I started getting great answers. Part of your personal brand is the learning aspect. And if you can invest that in, you're saying, well, I'm already established. I'm owner. I'm a leader in my business. Never stop being curious. Keep asking, keep learning. There's always somebody that you can learn from, especially people within the room. But then there's always people that are a few steps ahead in your career, in your profession, in your industry. Get time to learn from them, because that's only going to help you. That's only going to advance. And there are so many abundance-minded leaders that are happy to give of their time and their insights to people who are curious, who want to learn. So that's what I would say in connection with building a personal brand. It doesn't matter where you're at in your journey right now. You should always be working on building your personal brand, and start by being curious. Spencer?
Well, and I feel like
go ahead, DJ.
I was just gonna say, I feel like, if a majority of the people who watch these are in college, it's not about the college degrees anymore. It's about the connections that you make and the hustle that you put in, and maybe the apprenticeship, the internship, the learning, the growing, planting the seeds. Because if you were to say, all right, well, we've got 3 people here that are applying for this job, here's a college grad, but here's this kid who lit up the interview, lit up the room when he walked in, and has already been, an intern or doing some sort of apprenticeship and has already made a connection with somebody in this company or a sister company or something. I am 10 out of 10 times going to go with that person, because it's a whole different paradigm shift that we're seeing now. So I want, Spencer and I talk about this all the time. It's like, if you're not a hustler and if you're not going above and beyond, and if you're not matching my same hustler mentality and my same energy, you're getting smoked. You're not even on the same playing field. Think about sports. Tom Brady or maybe the captain of this baseball team or whatever, a soccer team or whatever it may be. If you're not first one there and last one to leave, I don't want you on my team. I don't want you on my team, period. Because we're going to battle in this business or these businesses, right? And we are clawing, trying to scale and make this a multi-million-dollar business or whatever it may be, right? With what we're doing. So that's just kind of my little tidbit to piggyback off of that, because, it's not necessarily about that paper, that college degree. It's about experience, connectivity, and what you're already doing to set yourself up to get in with that job, that firm, that organization, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, Spencer. So the thing that kind of kicked off this part of the conversation was we're talking about personal brand and how to build a personal brand that strongly resonates so you can build one that lasts. And Roy shared a personal experience there and how that has an impact on your business, customer service, talking about that. DJ was talking about how he grew just by boots on the street, the hustle, connecting with people. You joined us when I was starting to share my thoughts. So I'm curious to hear about your insights on personal branding and how that's impacted your career and your business.
Yeah, no, for sure. As you guys were talking, I was just, kind of thinking, these concepts, like this is kind of, it's been around forever, right? We talk about it in a different context now. And I think it's a little bit different because of social media and content, right? So we talk about personal brand. And I think that's because it's called that because it's attached to content, right? In my viewpoint. But it's really just reputation, right? It's like what before social media, like people just called it reputation. Like I need to build up my reputation. Like, so for anybody, I know we have majority, college students and stuff like that, but for anybody a little more aged and older, personal brand is kind of like, your reputation. What hands are you going out and shaking? What relationships are you building? What seeds are you planting? Like, how are you moving and grooving while also like building the foundation of whatever your hustle is, right? Whatever your business is, whatever your company is. So I think personal brand is super important. I feel very strongly that, people choose to work with us and work with me because of me, right? Like it's that relationship, they could choose anybody, but it's, how I make them feel, how, the rapport that I build with them, the energy that I put off. I think that's super, super important. Not only to do like in person, but also to genuinely show that through content, because content is king and you got to be more visible. Even if you're like, you're hustling, you're grinding. I'm super guilty of this, because I'm so busy. I have very little bandwidth, but creating my own content and showing my own personality and speaking my own beliefs and putting myself out there. Like just like what I'm doing now on this LinkedIn Live, right? It's very, very important to do that so people can learn who you are, so you can build that personal brand, so you can then go out in person, shake the hands. They've already seen you on videos, they've seen your content, now they see you in person. It all aligns, and now they trust you more because it all aligns. If they see something over here with your content and they see something different in person, it's not syncing, right? So it's a weird dynamic.
It's not authentic.
Yeah. So it's a very weird dynamic. So I think, people that are out there hustling, I think you have to keep that in mind, right? Building up your reputation, building up your personal brand, making sure that everything syncs. And honestly, the easiest way to do that is just to be genuine and real. Be yourself. You're not going to win everybody's hearts. But you'll win your people's hearts. So, if you got like a small little tribe, if you sell t-shirts, right? And You got like a little cult following for your t-shirts. Like, that's awesome. Keep catering to those people. Like, don't try to appeal to the masses, because you're just going to get lost in the sauce and overwhelm yourself, and you're going to get anxiety, and you're going to get stressed out, and you're going to feel defeated when you don't need to feel defeated, right? So be genuine.
Yeah. And that's being said, I was just about to say the same thing, brother, is I think what the younger audience needs to understand is that, like, right, you need to be 100% real. The same thing that you are online, you need to be the same thing in person, right? And definitely don't say that you know something that you don't. There's too much of that going on there. You know, there's too much of people saying like, I'm an industry expert in this. In the bottom line, I'm just being honest, is if you're thinking somebody's an industry expert, look into them. Right? Like, really dig into them, because unfortunately, there is a lot of people that are saying they're industry experts on social media, and they're not. They don't.
Sorry to cut you off, but like, you brought up something, like, it just sparked an idea. So if you, right, like, you have to be careful what information is being put out there, right? You have like all these industry experts, and like, I see it a lot with the younger generation too. And like, since we have college students on here, right, like, you'll see a lot of these kids get on and start talking, and they're acting like a guru about something, but they're like 21, 22. You're right. So like, how, like, you can only, take that so far in your mind. So question to you, Roy, like, if that's the case, right? Like, if I'm a 21, 22-year-old kid, right, and I'm over here and I know, like, I'm listening to us, and personal branding's super important, like, speaking your mind, super important, right? How do you, right, like, there's that whole fake it till you make it type of situation where there's some elements of that, but like, if you were a 22-year-old kid now, what would you do to be genuine and be real, but also try to build yourself up to be a thought leader or an expert in a specific industry?
Well, I'll just go back to when I was 22. So when I was 22, if I met somebody that was my age now, like somebody that was older, and they were wise, like, I literally said to them, like, I want to learn from you. And if you don't teach me, like, I'm going to duct tape you to a chair and like suck it out of your brain, right?
Now,
and they
I'm gonna egg your house. I'm gonna toilet paper your house.
But then kids now, like, if they do that, right, like, how do you also, right, like, you're in this learning phase, like, do you just go dark on social media? Like, I'm not posting shit. Like, I'm just gonna go dark.
No.
I'm
I was about to explain that. Yeah, so what I was about to explain is, they need to have, just like I did when I was younger, I had like mentors, right? And I had people that I followed. And the beautiful thing is when they follow or they're listening to something, say that on social media, say like, I learned this and then I used it to do this.
Exactly.
And or that this advice actually worked for me. Like, I listened to this guy and this worked. So be real, right? And you can use what I'm saying is somebody older and wiser's content as part of your mix, but mix it up as like, it actually worked for me. Like, give a testimonial, like, hey, this guy said to go into like this networking event and do this. And hey guys, I just want to let you know, I went to this networking event and I did it. And the guy actually, like, he wants to connect with me and help me, So, I mean, all these things, you can be that way. You don't have to be something you're not. You just need to, and what you're doing is you're teaching the next person, right, to be that. So stop being fake and stop being like, I know it. Be like, I learned it, and I'm implementing it. And it worked this time for me. Or I went to 3 networking events. The first 2 times I tried to do it, I couldn't do it. But the 3rd time I did, like, I got it down and it actually worked. And bottom line, like you said, is the biggest thing that I can tell you as, one of the things that I think made, and you guys can say all of us in this room, right, in here, is none of us, not one of us, is worried about when we walk out of a room what people think of us. We know 100% that we live our lives with integrity, moral values, honor, respect, and that is the key. So to stop trying to be something you're not, be different, be yourself. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different, fingerprint. Be yourself, right?
Roy,
100% be yourself.
Tag me in, Roy. Tag me in.
Yeah, Doug, go ahead.
Hit me. Hit my hand. Tag me. Okay, so
Bam.
let me. So there's authenticity and inauthenticity. And Roy literally was like, Roy's like inside my brain, just like running circles around it right now. But one of the things I was going to say is that it doesn't matter when you walk into a room what you say. Everybody's going to have their 30-second elevator pitch about who you are, what you do, whatever, right? To introduce yourself if you're at a networking event, a function, an event, whatever. Spencer and I go to events weekly, all the time, especially in my line of work. I'm at events with hundreds and thousands of people at least minimum 3 times a week. It's what people say about you that determines your personal brand with the most authenticity of anything else. You can go in there and you tell everybody you're great, you're this, you're that. Nobody gives nobody cares about that, okay? It's what people say about you and how people talk about you when you're in the room, introducing you to a group of people, or what they say when you walk out of that room. That is absolutely priceless. And if you are faking it till you make it and you're inauthentic, people will say that about you. They would be like, hey, man, listen, I can't really vouch for Doug because some of the stuff he says, he's a nice guy, but, it's just, I don't know. Bro, you don't ever want anybody to say that about you. You want people to be like, dude, you got to work with Doug. That guy is absolutely crazy. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. He knows all these people. They're crushing it with the flying goat and blah, 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 blah. Like, that's what you want. If you're not lighting up a room with other people lighting up the room for you, you're doing something wrong. And you need to pivot because it's very easy to get sucked into the fast cars and the 3-piece suits and the, this kind of blah, 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 blah. And before you know it, you're like, why is none of this resonating? Why can't I grow? Why can't I scale? Well, because you're inauthentic. You're not being authentic to who you are, and you don't have people vouching for you and talking highly about you when you're out of the room,
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Well
I'm
said,
just going to
Roy.
give you a quick story, and then I'm going to move on to you guys. But this is years ago. I'm not even joking. I met a guy. He says, I got this, 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 and this, and I can help you in business, Roy. So he comes in here and he literally says, I can be a coach. I can be a consultant of yours. He puts a contract in front of me and I said, okay, give me just 1 second. And I walked out of the room and I came back and I said, here's my contract. And he goes, what's that? I said, dude, I just need to run, my private investigator is just going to run a background check on you and your companies, right? And I had already known. I said, he's just going to run and make sure everything is. I do this with every single person. I told him I do this with every single person I work with. It's just standard, right? And that dude got up and ran out as fast as he could because everything he was saying was BS. Eventually, you're going to listen, if you're not real, you're going to get caught. You're going to get caught. And that's the biggest thing that you need to understand is listen, you're going to get caught. And let's say you don't get caught. Eventually, you're going to get caught by the guy upstairs, right? We answer to somebody up there, and you're always going to answer to him. And I'm just saying, there's a lot of fakeness out there, and it needs, I'm telling you, it's not what you want to do in life. It's not what you want to do in business. All right, let's turn it over to John.
Yeah, it takes time. It takes time. When I discovered what LinkedIn was in 2016, I had no social media at all, none. Yeah, I built it organically. Over the years, no AI, I built it to what it is today, but it took time. And I also learned that in that process of learning that about personal branding and about building something of great worth for myself and for the great people I was going to be connecting with in the future was 2 things. Number one, this can take longer than you think, and that's okay. Time is part of the process. Social media tells you that viral sensations happen all the time. No, they don't. The viral sensations had months, years of work behind the scenes until all of a sudden they became virally famous. Nobody turns viral overnight that was a nobody the day before. It's a building process. It's such a building process. The other thing is don't get hung up on likes, impressions, followers. Don't be hung up on the numbers.
Vanity metrics.
If you can get connected with 5, just 5 incredible people who are centers of influence who know thousands of people, that will fast track your career more than any work you could do on social media. Why? Because of who they know. And if they can say to their network, John loves to learn, he always comes with great questions, and then he does something about it. When we meet the next time, he says, hey, Doug, this is what I did with what you shared. Thank you so much for telling me that. Any other ideas you've got connected with this? Always learning, implementing. See, it's not the lack of ideas out there. This is the thing. If you are known for, if your personal brand is you take ideas and you execute on them, you're going to be light years ahead of the people that are popular, that are famous, that are well known, that have numbers, that have followers. It doesn't matter at all what the numbers are. It matters what you do, what you execute on. So if you are curious and you're learning and you're applying what you're learning, and you connect with a quality small group of people, I guarantee you that will take your career way farther than what the people are projecting on social media. Don't believe what you see, believe what you're doing. And then believe the people around you that you can trust, that are respectable centers of influence. Connect with them, learn from them. And those are some of the things that I learned in my 40s of the people I connected with. The quality of people will take your network and your opportunities and your business to levels you couldn't imagine because of who you connect with and who they're connected to. That has far more to do than to someone's success than numbers. Don't look at numbers. Look at the quality of your connections and their quality of network.
Well said.
Spencer, what would you say, Spencer?
Yeah, no, I mean, like as you were talking, my brain was kind of going. You know, what I do a lot of is the YouTube University, right? So last night, and basically every night for the most part, like at least 5 times a week, I'm watching some type of, like the way that I kind of go about it is like I have a question, right? I have a question related to the work that I'm doing, right? So like in terms of ads, right? Like how do I build more effective, stronger ad campaigns for XYZ industry, right? So, you know, I'll do some YouTube research just to see what's out there, what type of fresh ideas that I can grab and stuff like that, right? I'll watch that video, and then I immediately after I watch that video, I actually will rewind to certain spots, and then I go ahead and I apply that. I probably spend about like 30 minutes to 2 hours every single day of my working life. You know, when I take days off, I commit, I take days off. But like when I'm working, like usually at night when the world's a little quiet, you know, I'll watch these videos. The video could be like, you know, 10 minutes long, 15 minutes long, 30 minutes long. I'll watch the video and then I spend some time actually applying it. And then the next day I'll kind of have a new question or like a little nuance that I want to learn. I go ahead and I search that one, right? And then same thing that night, I go back and I apply it, I start working with it. And then like every day I'm doing that. I'm forming like a new, like little question, little nugget that I want to learn. And that's my process. Mm-hmm. And in the past 5 years within the marketing realm, like that's been my recipe for success to get to where I'm at and be as knowledgeable as I am in my industry. It's literally like that.
So you're saying it's not a 9 to 5,
No.
like to be highly successful?
No, not at all, dude.
I outside
2 a.m. last night. Like there's a lot of long ass days. But it's because I'm obsessed with what I do. Like I have,
it's an investment.
Yeah, I have the type of mindset. And I've had it in sports, and then I apply it to business. Like I'm just obsessed with what I do. I love the craft of building business and growing things and improving and practicing and building up my skill set with something. Like I'm just obsessed with that process. So I love to go ahead and research videos, and I'll search the depths of the internet. I'm on ChatGPT. Like yesterday, I saw a video on I forgot where I saw it, maybe Instagram. And then it's how you can basically take ad creatives, right? Let's say I create a successful graphic for a specific ad campaign that I'm running, like call it in the medical space, right? I have this graphic, I put it in the ChatGPT, and then I go ahead and I ask it, or I tell it like, hey, this is a successful graphic that I have for our ad campaign. I want you to analyze the graphic, tell me why it could be successful, and then I want you to make 5 different iterations of that graphic, changing just one variable, right? Because you don't want to test too much, right? And ChatGPT, you know, did that, and I had to practice that. I saw a video, I applied it, and now I'm pretty close to having a better system to pump out ad creatives, right? And that's a very valuable piece to what we do with our marketing agency, because the time to design and edit videos and all that stuff, it takes so long. Like you might be messing on like a little like tiny corner or something for hours, right? For God knows what. So the fact that I learned a little skill to work smarter, right, is amazing. Now I have, you know, that much more of an edge, you know, compared to my competition. And, you know, my competition mainly is who I was yesterday.
Yeah. No matter where you're at in your career, gosh, you have the ability of the time you put in, it's an investment that pays itself back, because if you're competing against others who aren't doing that, you're already ahead. And the more you learn and the more you invest into learning your industry, your craft, what you're interested in, you're going to be light years ahead of the ones that don't. And when you put on top of that the magnifier of using AI, I'm old enough where I had the World Encyclopedia set. That's all I had. Or the
Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah. I didn't have the internet, and I didn't have freaking AI.
It's so crazy nowadays.
You have no reason not to be able to make the most of every opportunity.
Yeah,
the world is literally at your fingertips.
And I think it was important, like, and I wanted to bring that up. I felt it was important to bring up because, like, we kind of sit back and, you know, forever be a student and, you know, always try to fine tune your craft. A lot of people like will hear that in like generic terms, but then they're like, well, how? You know, like they need like go lose weight. Well, how? Right. So like a lot of times people will get lost with that. You know, and not like know where to start, like know what to do. The way that I dumb it down and simplify it is like, all right, like what's the next problem that you need to solve that you feel like will give you that edge with your craft, right? Like how can you get better? Start with that one thing, watch a video on it, apply it right away, boom, and then just rinse and repeat literally every night and just keep doing that. And I promise you, every day you're gonna get smarter, you're gonna get sharper, and that's the recipe. You don't need to be as obsessed as I am and spend hours and hours, right? Like you can spend 30 minutes, an hour, like whatever. You got time with the kids, like you got to do this, you got to do that. Like just, you know, carve out a little bit of time and keep consistent with that method. And that's it. It's the recipe.
Yeah. Doug and Roy. Doug, you're a DJ. Roy, you run multiple companies, manufacturing. Let's just put it in that broad category. What does AI and personal brand have to do with, okay, get personal brand with DJ, got that, okay. But how does AI and personal brand connect for your industries, particularly in the manufacturing world, right? Because be like, manufacturing, AI, personal brand, we pump out a product. So I'd love to hear from Roy and then from Doug. I'd love to hear from you, Roy. Where does personal brand and AI intersect in your space, in people that are literally making a product?
Yeah, I mean, one, I can just pop this out there to you is, you know, earlier last year, I really am the kind of guy that, you know, AI started really buzzing, right? Everybody was saying it all the time, like every day. And it was, in fact, a little scary, right? Because all of a sudden you just keep on hearing it, but you don't know it and you don't really know where to start. Right. Yeah. And luckily enough, at that point in time, I'm part of an organization called Bay Area Manufacturers Association, BAMA. And we're made up of all the manufacturers here in Tampa Bay. And we brought in an AI speaker. And he started speaking about AI on a level where some of what he said, I understood, some of it I didn't. But the beautiful thing is afterwards he had a Q&A, and then after that he said if still people have information come up, and I did, and I really said, like, how's it going to affect my life? How's it going to affect my business and my businesses? How's it going to affect my industries? What do I need to know? How do I need to know it? And I started gathering that information. And then I did exactly what kind of Spencer just said, is I really started carving out a little bit of my day, right? An hour or 2 hours a day, and started really studying AI to understand it more. And the most important thing there is understanding it not only for my benefit, but as a owner of companies, right? And as an owner of a company, you have a responsibility for people's lives that are underneath you, right? And you need to make sure that their lives are protected, right? And you need to make sure that your business, as an owner and an operator of a business and an entrepreneur, the biggest thing is working both in your business and on your business. But a lot of times working on your business means that you're working on understanding the new technology of the world, right? Which I'm in the new technology of 3D printing, additive manufacturing, but I wasn't in AI. So I really had to start wrapping that around. And then to be honest with you, just kind of like Spencer said, if it's something that interests you, I kind of get a little bit of addicted to it. I get a little bit of addicted to it. And, I did. So I really started learning it to the point where I wanted to be more of a subject matter expert on it, not only just to implement it into my organizations, but be able to help other organizations be able to foster this technology and grow. As I'm doing that, it's changing. It's changing. See, the thing that we always have to remember in life is things are going to change constantly, nonstop, all the time. I mean, somebody said it best the other day. They said, being comfortable is living with uncomfortability. Like you got to be always uncomfortable because everything is always going to change. And the more that you can expect change, the more that you can dance around. Like if you're in a boxing ring and in your boxing, think about that as your daily life, right? And the only thing that you don't want to do is get knocked out. You actually may get knocked down. You may get smacked. You may get punched, right? You may actually get a couple licks in on the other person, right? But you just don't want to get knocked out. And that is a day. That is a day no matter what for any human being. So this is secrets in success all the way. In life, you just don't want to get knocked out in your personal life or your business life, right? So it's constantly moving and understanding that the world is changing and you have to change around it, right? So that's some of it there. But yes, it's implementing these things into your businesses and into your daily lives to create a better life for you, your family, anybody that you're around, right? All right, moving on to Doug.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I grew up. We grew up on Terminator. You know what I mean? And a fear of Skynet. Yeah, and Cyberdyne technologies. And honestly, guys, I got so sick of the word AI as soon as it started popping up everywhere. I'm like, nope. We've seen how this plays out. We've seen iRobot with Will Smith. These robot, and now you got them doing backflips and carrying weapons and flipping up on tables and autonomous motorcycles. And I'm just like, oh my God. I'm like, is this the downfall? Is this what everybody, these future travelers are warning us about? We'll save that topic for a whole nother discussion. But, for me, as far as, so I'll talk in a couple of different facets, right? For me as a DJ, AI, you had some garbage music that came out, and then one of the record labels put on this AI, artist, and then they had to take it down because it started spewing all this crazy hate stuff and all that. So for us, I don't really use AI a lot in the DJ world because for me, I'm an entertainer. When I'm locked into a room or an event or a stadium, I am there entertaining. I am there getting the crowd hyped up. AI can't do that. Right? That is a personal touch. That is a feeling and emotion. AI does not have that yet. Maybe in the future it might. I don't know. But, with Flying Goat, absolutely we use AI because how can we be a cutting edge marketing and ad agency and not use it? Right. So I won't say how we use it, but we use it almost daily. And then in our video game development company, we only use it to fast track our ideas and get our ideas out of our head, because before AI is at the level it's at now, we would have to build an animation of a character or of a world and show the client, hey, this is what your brand could look like in Web3 on Roblox on the platform. Now we can go there and go, say we're doing a pitch to M&Ms, okay? I can have M&Ms and the branding and all of that stuff in this world and tell it what I want it to look like or feel like or whatever. And I can have a couple of different screenshots to be able to put in my presentation deck to give them a visual that just saved me hours and hours and hours, because I would have had to had my developers go in and actually build that just to show for a pitch deck.
Right.
So that is saving us, that's where AI is working for the good, I will say, and helping companies expedite their process of landing clients or keeping the clients happy or whatever they need to do to, time is money, right? So, that's, I think, where it can effectively, but look, sometimes AI can work and sometimes AI can't work. I think the only, DJ-esque thing is that, if I have a client say, hey, I really want, a lot of country, okay, I'll say, give me your top favorite artists. You like Morgan Wallen and Sam Hunt and, Luke Bryant, whatever. I'll go into Spotify and I'll put that in there and I'll have Spotify do the work for me to give me a bunch of what we call bangers so that I'll have a bunch of like hit records. Because if I have to sit there and try to research that myself, I got to call my wife who loves country. I got to call her other girlfriend that loves country. I got to call my daughter who loves country, and I got to pick their brains about building out that set list. So that, in a sense, does help me when I need to curate certain playlists for certain types of niche events, I will say.
Mm-hmm. Time saver. Yeah.
Again, time is money. My time is very valuable. I'm an entrepreneur that has multiple different companies. I don't have time to do that. I really don't, so even with some of my DJs, I'll call them up because they can sit there and dig. They don't have kids. They don't have multiple companies. They don't have, you know what I mean? I'm like, they got all the time in the world. I'm like, hey, I need 20 of your dopest songs because I'm going to go play this festival and I don't have time to sit there and dig. So give me this. And then boom, it's in my inbox, which is great. So it helps me, just be more effective.
Yeah. I know I've only got about 10 or so minutes left. Any questions, Roy? Anybody chiming in on the LinkedIn Live that we need to respond to? I want to make sure we don't miss anybody if they had a comment or a question. I do like the fact that you're thinking, well, we started off with personal branding and now we're talking about AI. Well, you understand that part of our personal brand is how do we make the most of our time and our opportunities? And one of those things is using all the tools available to us. Not just digital tools. We're talking about relationships. We're talking about information. We're talking about self-learning. We're talking about our networks. There are so many places that we can get ideas, and opportunities can be just around the corner, but it takes you exploring all of those different avenues so opportunities don't just fall in your lap. And we all know that. But so how do you find them? Is it just luck? You just work really hard. Well, you can work really hard and still not come across any opportunities because you're not in the right places. You're not with the right people. You're not using the tools available to you already. And that's what we're talking about. When you're trying to develop and grow a personal brand, use all the tools available to you. Those could be digital tools, technology, AI, but they could also be the people you know. More importantly, the people you know that they know, your second degree connections. That's where a lot of the opportunities lie, because those are the people you don't know yet. And so it's not just digital tools we're talking about. It's also relationships. It's also social media. It's also self-learning. It's where you put your time and your effort. Any questions, Roy, that or insights that people had on LinkedIn? All right. So you got
but I think
12 minutes.
you saying that is a good thing, right? Because the other thing is a lot of the success that I've had, right, is sometimes not what I know. It's who I know and who I met and the connections that I made, right? So the biggest thing that we hear now out there in the world, and I'm not talking just the United States, I'm talking the world, right, is the next generation is not communicating. They don't have one-on-one communication with people, right? And no matter how much AI is in the world, right, you're never going to change a human-to-human connection, like a person talking to another person, right? And that's the biggest thing. There's people that 100% are where they're at today because they went and played golf with somebody, or they went to a sporting event with somebody, or they did these types of things. So,
or you did a favor for somebody,
did a favor for somebody. or somebody knew somebody and said a personal reference, right? Just like we're talking about here, the most important thing that drives business still to this day is that person giving a testimonial to like somebody else. You know what I mean? It's that type of thing. And I urge the younger generation or even the older generation, if you're not doing that, right, to get out there and do it, right, to go and meet people and live in this world, right, to constantly be adding to your Rolodex, right, to your social capital, right, to be to gain more awareness and understanding and information. It's so amazing. It doesn't matter who you meet at all, right? This is the crazy thing. It doesn't matter who you meet. Somebody is like knows something more than you, right? It could be, I can meet like a 6-year-old that, you're right, he plays a video game. This guy is like a subject matter expert at this freaking video game, and he knows that that's what he loves, that's what he knows, right? And like I love what I love, but I could actually learn some stuff from him, right? So it's amazing, because even some of the tactics that he may do when he's playing that game, I can resonate with in my daily life, right? So you never there's not a time that I think a human to a human connection that you can't learn something from somebody. I don't care who they are. I don't care what age they are. You can learn something. I mean, I'll never forget, like, I literally was just at like the supermarket, and this young kid came up and said something that a 50-year-old should be saying, right? And you're like, what the, like, this came out of like an 8-year-old's mouth, right? It's crazy. So it's those types of things, but I think that's the most important thing, right? Is it doesn't matter if you're young, old, it doesn't matter what age you are, still connect. And I think we're seeing more and more of that now after COVID. I think more and people are like loving to be out, like they want to be out, they want to connect with people.
Yeah, it's the human nature, you know what I
It's
mean?
the
It's
human
like,
nature,
you know,
right?
how much are you going to connect with a robot? You know, like we are designed to be social human beings and social creatures. We are designed to have relationships, you know, and you know, there is nothing like that. I remember, you know, when COVID happened, I DJ'd from my house right here, and I had a friend hook up his drone to my Facebook Live. So he's flying a drone as I'm playing music on my balcony, and the whole neighborhood can hear it. And people would send me videos of their kids and them dancing in their homes to their TV because they were watching it and streaming it on their TV screen. And they were feeling that connection, and they were craving that connection. And then I said to myself, I was like, you know what? Never again. Never again, unless everybody's dropping like flies into some sort of crazy plague. Never again will I allow that to happen, and will I take away from my family the social connection with people like that, because it's so important. And those kids are so behind now because they didn't get that in-person learning, they didn't get that schooling, and blah blah blah. And we're very lucky that we, you know, are down here in Florida and we didn't have to deal with a lot of that like a lot of the, you know, some other states did. But there is nothing, you know, I see it when I won't DJ nightclubs anymore because everybody's like this, nobody's talking. You know, back in the day, we would go up and we saw a pretty girl, we'd be like, hey, I'm Doug, I like your dress, or whatever. Boom, instant connection. But people aren't, the younger generation, I've noticed, are not really doing that now, and it's sad. So, you know, if I think that's how it is in business too. Don't be scared to go up to a CEO or a CMO or somebody who you know is a decision maker of a company that you want to potentially work for. I walk up, I mean, I'm like Jason Bourne. Okay. I'm like 007. When I walk into a room, I know exactly who I'm going to target. I know exactly who I want to make a connection with. I know exactly who I want to get and exchange numbers with. And I do it. And I don't leave until Spencer will tell you. Spencer sees me do this. I will not leave until I have got done what I feel I need to get done to further myself where I need to be, or develop that connection. And if I'm out till 5, 6 in the morning, or if I don't even come home, you know, as long as I text my wife, I'm alive, I'll fill you in later, I'm good. You know, I'm good. But that's how I am, but I'm just built different. Like I'm the one that seizes on all opportunities, because you never know where that opportunity will take you a month, 6 months, a year or so more down the road.
So I got a question for the three of you, and it's meant to be a quick answer because we only got a few minutes left. So what if you were to pass away, what would you want on your tombstone? What would you want your epitaph to be? Instead, I want to put on a living focus, and that would be, you walk out of the room. What is it that you want people to say about your personal brand? I want to start with you, Spencer. No, I'm putting you guys on the spot, but I'm curious to know off the top of your heads, what would you want your personal brand to be when you walk out of the room? What would you want people to say?
I think like genuine, right? Genuine, authentic. Like I believe like that's a very, very strong characteristic and trait, is just being like so real, organically you, right? Like you can't really like, this guy's not faking. He's not putting on some facade. Like it's really genuinely, truly him. And that's, I believe like that's super important. So that's my answer.
Yeah. How about you, Roy? What would you say?
Mine's easy, man. I've always had it lately, is just how many people have I impacted while I'm here, and explain to them that being different is okay, right? Like you need to be yourself, right? And the more people that we can impact to let them know, just be real, just be yourself. And no matter what comes about, no matter what issues you have, right? Or no matter what things that come in your life, right? Me, I graduated high school with a 4th grade reading level. It's okay. Like I'm still successful, right? It's okay. Like there's people that they get in a car accident and they're paralyzed, but they change the world, right? There's so many things. I think that's mine, is if I can impact and let people know that being different is 100% okay. Because when I was young, I didn't feel that way. Like I felt like I needed to be somebody else, right? I felt like I wasn't good enough, right? And I think that's the biggest thing, that it's the amount of people that you impact on this planet while you're here. And that's my kind of, what I want to leave is like, just be yourself and know that you can be anything you want to be.
Mm-hmm. Doug, what would you say?
First and foremost, I always want to be known as being an awesome dad and husband. I didn't grow up with really a dad. He was in and out of my life. And, I wanted to have a family at a really young age. I wanted to have a boy and a girl, and then just have that family dynamic, because I didn't have that growing up, and I have it now, and it's the most precious thing to me. And I fight for it every day to be the best version of myself, so I can always have great relationships with my wife and my 2 kids. And then somewhere below that, just say that he always did great things for his community. I'm heavily involved in the community in both Tampa and St. Pete side, just Tampa Bay as a whole, and give back a lot to the community with the philanthropic side and organizations, Children's Cancer Center, Children's Dream Fund, helping these terminal kids, their kind of last dreams come true, and things of that nature. And that hits to me at home big time. So I think, just being able to have people talk about what you did for the community and what impact you made on their lives, I think is priceless.
Yeah.
John, let's ask John. What about you, John?
You're right. I know I had the most time to think about it, right? Genuine, just like Spencer said, authentic. People are just so hungry for that. The more the AI advances, the more people want authentic conversations. Curious. I want them to know that I'm curious, and then I genuinely care. Why? Because by the questions I ask, and then the conversation, it's so much 80-20. It's 80% about them and 20% about me, and I lead off with them. And I'd say the fourth one that I'd want to be known for is being entrepreneurial, focusing on solutions and ideas and how do we make the world a better place. And I think that passion for customer and employee experience, that's so holistic, that the solutions, that there are enough proven ideas out there where you can have excellent relationships and be highly profitable. Win-win. I think those are some of the attributes that I'd want people to experience when they're with our brand. Roy, I'm going to kick it to you because it's time to close.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us today. Again, this is Secrets for Success in 2025. We do it every Friday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And whether you're watching live or you watching a replay of this, if there's anything that we can help you with in business or in life, you can reach out to any of us. If there's any discussions that you want us to have or any tricks and tips that you want us to discuss on our next one, please feel free to reach out to us. That's why we do this. 100% is it's being able to take all the information that we have within all four of our brains and be able to give that back to people to help them better in their life and better in their business. So thank you very much, and we will see you next week.